I've tried making quite a few videos in the past few months, and I got so far during a editing phase and just lose the steam. So I resolved today, give it a shot. Open the app. I've never done it before. I'm not well versed. I'm not practiced. I'm not a public speaker. I could possibly somehow mess it up, but let's make a live. Oh, you don't have subscribers. You don't have enough shorts. Yeah, I usually wear pants anyway. So just make a video and straight sling it as if this were alive. Because this is something that kind of feels present enough. In this day and age, you kind of have to hop onto that peptide thing in a moment because something's coming along to wash it away. I don't want to lose steam on this. It's a strange thing to call someone your friend if you never met them, but I'd like to say there's a friend I watch does something very similar to this. Goes out walking with his dog. And he shares his expansive ponderances on things. An honest person with an honest approach to a world that doesn't reflect that back. And kind of have a response of my own to that in its own way. The material is especially helpful. The content is nothing but guidance, warmth, stuff like that. The spirit of the message could move just as well. Kind of a thing to, what is this, a televised protest, a televised revolution? I think it's an oxymoron that was declared by a poet over a half a century ago, but maybe enlist as many people out there. Just go out walking, take your dog. Those deep thoughts, especially the honest ones that are just simply really expansive but don't have a place to go. I do these weird things at times where I'll take point A and tie it over to the apple over there. Well, I mean, that's a little congruent. A for going to apples and oranges kind of thing here. I'll bridge stupid concepts in crazy ways. The same treatment was given in various ways to, you could say this too, through a poetic lens, any shining light. Like, they did the same thing with Little Big Planet. I think it's a good thing this wasn't alive, but it's, honesty, do your thing. The capacity to send a concept up into the ether and just do the thing. And that was suppressed too. So yeah, get out there with your dog, make a YouTube video. Look at this thing I do. I don't have a speaking talent. I have a blockage in reception versus the conveyance of the concepts, the things I'd like to transmit, and the lack of eloquence to my approach isn't very savory or whatever else. Have I allowed that to discourage myself instead of learn, practice, and grow with it? I don't know which direction to take all that anyway. This doesn't seem necessarily productive to me, which is counterintuitive to that exact premise of thinking along the lines of sharing something to expand somebody else's horizons, to be extended and helpful, whether you're confident in that or not. Something to be said about horizontal growth and community, especially in an age like this. And I think it pairs well with this commentary to be said that you don't drive out the darkness but with light, stuff like that. The imagery of holding a bouquet of flowers in front of a tank, that kind of stuff. My mind operates difficultly sometimes, but I can see that wording things a specific way can already algorithmically get you flagged nowadays anyways. If I were just to directly say, in some way, shape, or form, this is a call to protest, it's like, well, no, that gets put under scrutiny. But it's like, what can you do nowadays? You don't act against the current, but it's like, well, can you swim sideways? We can do things that are laterally productive. Sharing deeper thoughts like this, having a place to practice your confidence, no matter how awkward it feels. From my angle, I mean, yeah, this is stuff that steps way outside of the introverted hermit thing. I'm not reinventing a wheel to anybody else with an idea like this. So it's like, back to the question of what would it have been worth to have been a live video, but there's a lot to say, but not a lot of practice nowadays in having a capacity to say that stuff. And I think that's kind of where one of my roadblocks are too. So perhaps that's the encouragement. Yell it into the ether. If you've got a specific, well, now is a rocky time to suggest it, but communities like Discord, stuff like. A lot of the overhead's already crashing down. We don't need any more Chicken Littles out there. But it's like, is it really an eject button with a parachute, or taking the time to slow down and ponder things like, oh, he's out there sitting under the tree again. We've missed the forest for the trees. In this approach, I think it's taken a lot of years to undo certain technological windings that my kids grew up with. And even, you get so far with that kind of stuff because life is dynamic. Me personally, there's the control response, control mechanism thing in me is to see, what can I do to nudge that boulder? How can I help a paradigm shift in this? Missing the point, but catching the current. So just the same. It's just a soliloquy I've consented to have an audience to, I guess. A space to share the inside of the thoughts. Like there's material, and this sounds just like rambling, specifically. But I guess if you're going one direction with enough inertia, you can't just, pull a 90 right off the bat. You gotta steer into it. And it keeps steering, and then the current keeps pushing, and it keeps steering some more. Sometimes the dog's running instead of walking. The dog's always running. I go for a walk. The dog walks me. That's what it is. That's the way it's supposed to be. This video is probably going to get edited too, but it feels imperative to share that a risk being taken to do absolutely nothing right now. It's kind of the healthiest thing to do. Because either way, it's a win-win. You don't succeed at nothing, you still won. But to get into the meat of the meeting, which is going to require a lot of video editing. This is 12 minutes of fucking fluff. Go for that walk with your dog. The nearest, something bigger than a copse, a larger swath of forestry, a body of water nearby. Where I'm at is an enormous blessing to be in the condition it's in, all things considered. The energy, just, in textbook geology, the kind of stuff that karsts limestone landscapes. There's a lot of dynamic. There's a lot of transient stuff. Higher, we're raised up as a plateau, as a quote unquote mountain range. The storms that come through are very vivid and connective. This hillside right here, the storms, this is a lightning magnet zone. This burn is from control stuff. But yeah. Candid, live, honest, feeling through it as I go. This is something significant to share with people. And it's, as can be echoed, I share the same sentiment, the people out here. All this life, it's an intimacy thing. This hillside gets repeated lightning strikes. Ridge down that way, just the other night, or other morning, had another tree fire where it was struck. And there are also, from this vantage point, you can kind of see one there. I call them, I refer to them as signal trees, but no one's out here making signals. There's a really neat one on the other side of the dip over there. But anyway, just going and just releasing, just like a kid. You just shed the pretense of adulthood or whatever else, just go and wander. You might literally be completely explicitly mind blown as to what you might find. Let's see if we can discover the special spot that I found out here. I believe it was actually just about 1 year ago this month. I had meandered out here in one of my quote-unquote spiritual reveries with the intent of, communing. I had a drum with me to simply find a site to sit at and discover feeling the energies, where the resonances are, how these... I was not aware of how fluent I'm already led and guided by the landscapes to navigate through these things. And that specific morning, it's been a while since I've revisited it because it's like in a video game. It was a one-time use thing. And you'll see how ridiculous the RNG is if I can find it again. But I came out here just to seek a spot to release a bunch of energy currents. New age woo-woo way to word it. Frustrations that I was experiencing at the time I came out here to meditate and seek peace. With a supplemental drum and intent and that kind of stuff. But what I found out here had really shifted my perspective on a lot of things about whether I move my feet through the world or the world moves under my feet. Kind of, what is that, Greek philosophical dilemma or whatnot. Seems like we might be a no-go on the dice. But I found a oak stump, a tree that had been cut down, and someone had carved a bind rune into the stump, facing pretty much this orientation here. It was aligned. I was out there in the morning, and it was aligned with the dawn for that time of year. For that time of year, I think it was April, and everything. And I was so stunned that I accidentally, in the video, out here, middle of nowhere, found something like that. So I observed and did my thing, my little approach. I left, I came back a second time, and the thing had really started to crumble. I had no scope of how long it's already been out here. And really, it was sturdy enough, it was solid enough, it wouldn't have just disappeared over this last season, but the comment to be made, seeing all these lightning-struck trees, is this is a very transient area. Whether it's Gaussian potential or whatever specific metric I could, quantify through an instrument to validate, there is a real something here. And I had a latent, pretty explicitly supernatural experience with a full will intent to do something that I understood to be supernatural. and the experience was reflected back to me, for me, and through me. This awareness itself compounds to a point where it kind of, builds a, I guess the coyote may call it a gravitas function or something of that sort. I don't have the answers on that kind of thing. I could speak for days on the theories I have. The way I see the world is what could be the meat of this channel, in all its honesty. It's a bit of a bummer I can't find that thing to share the proof. If any of this would ever take traction, I got logs, experience logs, stuff like that to refer to, but I guess just, dynamically adjusting for the flow of things. Go with the flow, man. I came across a neat discussion. I guess what would people say? Should I go all out with that? I had we'll just say I sit with Claude sometimes. But riffing off of various concepts, the right-hand rule in like electromagnetics is effectively synonymous with fluid dynamics of like vortices and things. And inside of all of that, there was a, I guess, encoded concept that my mind kind of zipped up while reading the rest about how you'll otherwise have in, like Abrahamic theologies, you've got the concept of the adversary, the spirit that, rises up to pursue and resist you and to stop you in your tracks and all that. That adversary, that personified aspect of the resistance that's experienced against you, that you experience. So that adversary is the force of resistance that the vortical aspect, the essence of you, the conscious, need to practice with the public speaking. To front load this discussion a little easier, the depictions of the human body with like the toroid and the stuff, and you got the outflow from the top and the inflow from the bottom. That mechanism of moving an essence from a higher to a lower or a lower to a higher energy state, the thing that the human consciousness experience, the observer thing does. That's the collapsing of the waveform and the electron interactions with. So anyway, these things all harmonize at a microscopic level or a microcosmic level, the same way it was postulated by Pythagoras that on a macrocosmic level you've got all the harmony of the spheres, all the way up, all the way down, as above, so below. And I know I definitely just sidetracked from the commentary, but this now is going to require a full-on editing session. It's not a live video. I am still trying to find that spot too. So anyway, specifically, when you're on the right track to something, oh, there he is. Satan gonna rise up to try to stop you. That emergent phenomena itself, that resistance that comes up, effectively is a cosmic signal or a trigger showing you that you're on the right track. Is that to say that, you just blindly go forward in the face of danger? No. But when certain red flags come up, I've learned to use them as guideposts instead. And that sense itself, I guess the way some people may say they've navigated reconciling fears and things. You look at you stare into the abyss till the abyss stares back, all that kind of stuff. You get to know the thing that you don't know so that it no longer brings a sense of discomfort, that kind of stuff. And each of these points where that emergent thing otherwise does feel like a intelligent force on its own is kind of what was pretty much encompassed by one of the last statements in that video I'm referencing that has sparked this whole thing. The view of the world and what would be cast out onto it will be the response that gets received back. The entire point is this weird fishbowl, fish lens distortion of reality until each of those alignments take place, because without that dynamic adjustment, the stasis would never yield finding that true will alignment, because stasis is entropy, is decay, is blah blah blah, and the conscious observer operator is in a constant pursuit of what should be anti-entropy and ascension, custodianship and healing and communion, things of that nature. The Heros Gamos of the self reflected outward to the world will bring a unified factor of the world to rebound back with you. That resonant harmonic stuff has its place in these things. This is where it took 28 minutes, but where I would be meaning to get to when I say the things I say about how sometimes you can just throw a little rock into a pond, a lake, and some of those ripples that come from that you will not see, and the others you do see may be completely unexpected. Some ripples, it's being poetic here because that's kind of a straightforward thing, but you get it. And I think I'm not here to give an answer like that. Nobody has one. But if I were asked what might be more aligned with a response like, what is the meaning of life? It is. It's what's already been oversimplified as like a hero's journey. It's a pursuit. There is a definite circumstance that can't be articulated that we are born into. And the best way to try to optimize it is to say it's a school, something of that sort. At any given point, especially only lately, but especially so, it's been taught from my dad, something I should know. Could have graphed as a kid, but kids. It's gonna keep teaching you the same lesson until you get it. It sounds so cliche, but I I'm gonna go and dip into the madness for a moment and admit a very specific recount on this path right here. This path right here, out where we are. I had come out here one night, I believe, to that spot over there, maybe a little further in, because I remember it was near the slope over here. I chose that spot, and I just laid the hell down and melted into the woods and stared at the sky. And I was in pursuit of an experience there. When I first came out, I was on a walk out here with my daughter, and I was sharing some things. Here's the spooky. There was a helicopter overhead. And I had made a joke to her, very sarcastically. I was like, oh, I'm out here to have a spiritual experience. I might be on the spirit radar. They're going to come looking. You know, just like a weird, but like the sense that when you say things, I don't even want to bother getting into that detail. Anyway, so I said the thing, and it was sarcastic. Like, come out here. And as I'm laying there, and she's sitting there scrolling on Discord or whatever, I'm like, okay, this go ahead and head home. I don't know how long I might actually enjoy the time out here. She goes home. I don't know it at the moment, but she sees a truck come down the highway, or come down the gravel road on her way home. I'm laying out here in the woods. A little commentary about the adversary thing. I don't have hallucinatory experiences because my neurology is excessively hypervigilant. But I'm laying out here and I'm in pursuit of a specific kind of meditative experience. So when I first start hearing sounds, I really did try to brush it off as if I was having some kind of auditory experience. Because I'm out here in the woods, middle of nowhere. There's not going to be anybody, I finally hear enough sound to realize it's not my pup coming through the woods. And I sit up and I look over here, and coming down this trail are 6 people in jackets with, I think it was 3 or 4 dogs with pink fluorescent glowing harnesses on. And I'm completely disoriented. I'm completely clueless. I look at these people, I guarantee the sensation. I see they're out here. It's a search party, so they're looking for someone. Well, here I am. I'm laying in the woods. I just sit up. I look over, line of sight, see this person there. I get up and I make a long old arc. He didn't even fucking bother notifying them. I'm just walking. I just go home. And that night was a specific subscription of turmoil, trying to reconcile exactly where in the hell the logic was at for that many material things to correlate the way they did. I'm going to have to make this into another part video, but this, 3333.